and live.
Yo, what up, Knicks Nation? Welcome to another Game of the Week preview. You already know what it is. We got another big matchup. We got redemption this Saturday, okay? Redemption. Opening night didn't go the way that we wanted it to against the Boston Celtics, but we're going to get a chance to redeem ourselves. And who better to help preview this game with me than none other than Eric Newman. He's the host of B-Ball Radio, also the former executive producer of Showtime Basketball's Anything is Possible with Kevin Garnett. Anything's possible, I should say, with Kevin Garnett. Eric, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my man? How are you feeling today?
Considering I'm in enemy territory, I feel terrific and love being on with you guys. And what could be more exciting than a Saturday night at MSG with the C's and the Knicks? I'm fired up about it and looking forward to chopping it up with you. Let's get it.
Let's go, man. And before we get deep into this show, make sure that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. All right, Eric. Look, man, you talk about being in enemy territory. I'm in enemy territory for the last 10 years, being out here in Boston, born and raised in New Yorker for over 25 years. Came out here, things happen when you meet your wife, have a family out here. Then you get locked down, you're anchored here. So I know what it feels like, man. I'm in a sea of green, and I'm just, with some a few orange and blue droplets. There's a little bit of Knicks Nation out here. I like it. I don't feel it's not too uncomfortable, but I totally know what you mean being a Celtics fan out in Lakers Nation. So we could bond over that.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up a New Yorker and loving everything about New York, except having that Celtics seed planted because of my pops who, grew up in Brooklyn. As my ring light falls down in front of me, as soon as I start talking about the Knicks, bad things happen. But being from New York and rooting for the Celtics and being at so many amazing games at Madison Square Garden are great memories. And then moving to LA and now being around Lakers fans is it's hilarious. The whole thing is hilarious, but I love talking rivalries, and this is a special one. And again, Saturday night at MSG, there's nothing like it.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I'm looking for redemption. Opening night didn't go the way that we wanted it to, but since then, Knicks have turned it around completely. One of the best offenses in the league. One of the top teams in the NBA. They're third in the Eastern Conference right now. What has been your thoughts about the Knicks this season thus far?
I mean, let's just start with Karl Anthony Towns, right? Like obviously Julius Randle had some great moments with the Knicks. Dante DiVincenzo became a fan favorite, but the way Cat has raised his game has been really impressive, and that's without having Mitchell Robinson next to him. Part of Cat's success in Minnesota last year was, of course, being able to play next to Rudy Gobert and not have to be the main big in the paint. When Mitchell Robinson comes back, I think Cat's game is going to elevate even more. So obviously Bridges has had some great moments. I'm a huge Josh Hart fan. I'm also a huge OG Anunoby fan. Hopefully he's back in the lineup for you guys soon. So the issue with the Knicks, and you guys probably talk about this every day, is depth and it's minutes. And if you guys can figure out a way to add some depth to the roster, buyout market or trusting more guys and just cutting down on these minutes, you guys are going to be primed for another exciting postseason run if you can remain healthy. Obviously, so many injuries last year, but the Knicks are legit. Like, there's no more Celtics making fun of the Knicks right now. Like, you guys are real deal. And if the season ended today, we could be on a collision course in the second round, of course. So that'll be exciting.
Absolutely. And look, there's still a chance for that to even happen. I mean, Celtics right now are 36-16. Knicks are 34-17. Knicks are, what is it, a game and a half behind the Celtics. So look, it's right now the Knicks have, they've caught up to potentially take second place, but then something always happens. Celtics win a few games, and we're still keeping that distance. So who knows? There's going to be that chance for the collision course, as you mentioned. And there's one other thing that I have to mention. You talk about depth. Of course, we want to see that. I think that's going to occur. We're going to see what happens with the buyout market. I think that's going to be a next year thing where the team looks to add, and especially when the salary cap goes up next year. I think that's for years to come. This team's going to be together for the next 3-4 years. So this is not the only chance that they're looking at with this team. I think the other thing, though, for this team is the inconsistency on defense. That's the one thing I want to see just like just get corrected as we move forward. There are nights where this team looks like dynamo, man, where it's just everything's clicking, offense is just rolling on all cylinders, ball movement is fantastic. Then you have, Wingstop, which is Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart. Those guys are just flying around, acting like free and strong safeties, causing mayhem, and that's what you want to see. Of course, with the help of Deuce McBride and Precious Achua. And so they look good on some nights, but then other nights you're like, why are we giving up 120 like it looks like easy for everybody else out here? And so, this is something that I would like to see the team correct as we get ready for that postseason run. Do you see that as well
Well,
when it comes to the defense?
yeah, I mean, well, think about this, right? Like you get Mitch back in the lineup. Like your wings can be that much more aggressive on the perimeter, knowing you have that big and shot blocker behind you. When he's not there, as good as Cat is as a player, it's not the same presence. So teams aren't thinking twice about going into the paint. And it just makes your margin of error defensively, regardless if you're stopping the basketball at the top of the key, regardless if you're rotating after you trap or hedge the pick and roll. Like everything changes when Mitch comes back. And I think obviously Thibodeau's reputation is built on being a defensive minded head coach first. I think it's going to change a lot of things. So if I'm Knicks fans, um, be patient and hope when Mitchell Robinson comes back, Cat shifts back to his natural position. Obviously, Cat and Precious are playing together now with OG out, but their team overall is going to look a lot different, and it'll start at the defensive end for the better.
I agree. Once Mitch comes back, I feel like a lot of that defensive woes that we've been talking about will change. I mean, great pick and roll defender, rim protector as well. Also, just being a lob threat and an offensive rebounding machine on the other end is also something that looking forward to. As a Celtics fan, are you nervous when you're watching the Knicks, or like even thinking about the postseason? Like, do you feel like the gap is closed that much more?
It's closed a bit. I think the Celtics fell into that boredom
Mm.
category at times in recent weeks. Obviously, the comeback win against Philadelphia, the win on the road against Cleveland. I actually haven't watched the Mavericks game from today yet. I'm going to watch it on delay, so I don't want to know what happens. But they're starting to find that groove a bit, and they also haven't had the full top eight rotation healthy for that many games together. Mainly the starting five. Holiday's missed some games. Porzingis has been in and out a bit. Derek White, who's as reliable as it gets, missed a couple of games recently, but they're starting to find a rhythm now. The thing that has me remaining very, very confident in the Celtics in a matchup against the Knicks is you guys just you don't have real. I mean, OG is very capable, and there, as soon as I start talking about the Knicks, there goes the ring light again. Um, Listen, Bridges and OG are really good perimeter defenders, but Tatum and Brown are on another level. So, how you guys deal with that, and you were speaking about your defensive concerns, is a challenge for you. But the Celtics have defensive concerns with the Knicks because they've got to deal with Brunson, they've got to deal with Cat. Obviously, Porzingis is such a difference maker and X factor in any matchup, but specifically against the Knicks. So, if the Celtics play the Knicks in the playoffs, am I thinking it's going to be easy and that's a 5 game series? No. The Knicks are too talented. They're too well coached. And it's their time that they think they should be evolving to become a conference finals team. So that would be a heck of a series. I'm not overconfident. The Knicks are a real deal threat. But the Celtics, and I don't care what the standings say, and Cleveland could very well have home court. The Celtics are still the kings of the East until somebody beats them.
Understood. Understood. Look, you got to respect the champs. They are the champs for a reason. Uh, Crazy run that they had last year, and you just got to respect them until they're dethroned. So I totally understand that. Salute to Nick Station once again. Thank you all for tuning for another game of the week preview. With me on the other side is my guy Eric Newman. You can catch him as the host of B-Ball Radio. He's also the former executive producer of Showtime's Basketball's Anything's Possible with Kevin Garnett. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Eric, let's talk about your team, the Celtics, right now, okay? Because when I listen to a lot of podcasts, even when I tune in a little bit, seems a little disjointed. You said they look bored. Is it tired legs? Because, they played until June, played a lot of basketball. Then you had what? Tatum, Derek White, and Drew Holiday playing on the Olympic team. Is it boredom? Is it tired legs? Is it a combination of both? What's going on with your team right now?
Well, as I love to say, thank you, Steve Kerr, for not playing Jason Tatum a lot in the Olympics. Um, and thank you that Jalen Brown didn't go. So um, I think part of it is it's human nature. You play into late June. Um, they obviously have had marathon playoff runs dating back to 2020, the bubble. They're in the conference finals. 21, it's kind of a lost season. Coming back with COVID, they're out in the first round. 22, NBA Finals. 23, conference finals. Almost came back from 3-0 down, and then last year making it to the mountaintop. So I think it's a combination of guys being in and out of the lineup, being ready for the playoffs now mentally. And yeah, some of it could be tired legs, but Jason Tatum is playing arguably the best basketball of his career. And Jalen Brown is starting to find his groove. Drew Holiday has not been as consistent as we would have liked this season, but Derek White has been. And Peyton Pritchard has emerged as a six man of the year candidate. So um, if this team is healthy, which I think it's going to be, um, I'm not worried. The question is, how good can the Knicks be? Excuse me. And how good will the Cleveland Cavaliers continue to be and evolve now with the DeAndre Hunter deal? So, um, those to me, along with the Bucks, are the clear contenders for the Eastern Conference title. But again, until somebody knocks off the Celtics four times, they're the kings of the East. So, not worried, not worried at all.
I
I
feel like,
think Jason. Let me ask you something. Being in Boston, right?
yeah.
And there's just this narrative around Tatum nationally where people are either bored with him or not excited by his personality. Like the guy is leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and I believe it's steals.
Hmm.
He's playing the point forward position every night. He's drawing double teams. He's making the right plays. He's become a terrific decision maker. I mean, what is your opinion on Tatum being a Knicks guy in Boston and hearing those narratives up there?
I think he for Tatum last season, I was on that like just doesn't have it, but obviously he did it last year. Although one could even
Yeah.
still have that question because Jalen Brown won, the MVP, Finals MVP that is after they
Yep.
defeated the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm more of a Jalen Brown fan than I am a Tatum fan, if I'm to be honest with you, just from a player's perspective. But I mean, Tatum is doing everything you want him to do. I mean, regular season wise, he's going to show up. Postseason wise, especially last year, even when he wasn't shooting the ball well, he was doing everything you wanted him to do: defend well, rebound well, be a playmaker. And I think he's evolved his game where he plays at such an efficient level that you have to respect him at this point. But I think there's also like, when they talk about the face of the league and stuff of that nature, I think that's what they also are incorporating in how do you evaluate him as a player. If they're looking for the next face of the league, it's always between him and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has this capability of grabbing all the headlines with just his charisma, the things that he says. I mean, look, even after Luka gets traded, he's like, "Yo, Tim, just let me know, man, if you don't want me here, if you're gonna trade me." And it's just everyone's laughing in the locker room. Like he has a way of just like carrying himself and just, bringing the attention towards him. Whereas, look, I watched starting five. Top two guys I was interested in were LeBron James and Anthony Edwards in that mini docu series, and then Tatum was, and even as all the reports said, on the bottom because of the lack of ability to like just bring you in and captivate you with his personality. So I mean, at the end of the day, they proved that it doesn't really matter, and he could just
Yeah.
perform at a high level and do whatever he wants to do on the basketball court. Like when I go to games, I watch him play. I'm like, it is miraculous watching how he's able to handle the rock, how he's able to shoot. how he's able to get to all of his position, all of his places on the court. Like he is truly a phenomenal player, like to the T. Then when you watch him play defense, he does everything that you want him to do. And even, I was watching you and CP break down the trade deadline and how you define a superstar. He does both. He plays defense, he plays offense. So he fits
Yep.
that moniker that you said is a superstar. I think the thing that just wants people want more out of him is more of a personality, but that's just not who he is. He's all about basketball. He's all about business, which is what he is. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you're a basketball fan, if you're running an organization, if you're a coach, he gives you just that, and that's all you should be worried about.
I mean, I can understand the entertainment aspect of this, but from a
Hmm.
basketball standpoint, like I don't understand the hate, and you just hit it on the head. I mean, his game continues to evolve. He's become such a good playmaker. The defense and the rebounding is beyond underrated and really underappreciated. And because he's um, become such a good rebounder, that allows them to play the style they play, where they're five man more often than not, unless Cornette is in the game, who's been playing really well off the bench. Like it's Horford or Porzingis, and you could spread the floor out, and Tatum's out there rebounding his butt off. Is Porzingis a poor rebounder? No, Porzingis is an average rebounder for his size and position. Al is still a good rebounder, but the fact that Tatum is leading the team in those categories, but more so just making the right plays. You saw what game was it recently? Was it the Houston game? I think it was the Houston game that they lost at home, which was an unbelievable game a week ago. Coach Udoka called the timeout because he was so furious that they let him have a clean 27 footer off of a high screen and roll because the big lagged back.
Hmm.
Think about that. 27 feet off of a high pick and roll, and you've got to come out to that guy. And more often than not, he's dealing with blitzes and double teams where he's either splitting them or the Celtics are playing 4-on-3 because he's making the right pass out of that. So whether he's getting the assist or he's getting the hockey assist, it all starts with him offensively. And what's interesting about that too, as I say it, and you mentioned how much you like watching Jaylen Brown play. Usually Jalen and Porzingis, if you look at the numbers, those are the guys that are carrying them early when it comes to points.
Hmm.
Tatum is easing into the game. He's seeing the way the defense is adjusting, and he knows that if he gets those other guys going early, it's just going to help the entire team when it comes down to winning the basketball game and guys being in rhythm. He knows he's going to get he's going to find that groove, whether it's from the 3 point line, getting to the basket because the floor is so spread, and of course, getting to the free throw line. He does it all, and I appreciate you listening before and calling out that superstar thing. That's a real thing I believe in. If you can't play defense in this league, and you don't have to be all defensive team, but if you don't put the effort in defense and you are a liability and you are the target every night of the opposing team, I don't care what your offensive numbers state. We can't call you a superstar. So Tatum clearly is because of how he plays on both ends of the floor.
Something that you pointed out is like, and I just like watching the league at large and reading all the different reporters who cover the league, who cover the game. And Jared Weiss did do a nice write up last season about how Tatum likes to play chess in that aspect that you're talking about. Let Brown be the aggressor, and then he gets to work his way in. And I'll say this is probably the last thing, and then we can move on to like key stats and really get like deep dive into this matchup. Um, I think what fans also want to see out of Tatum, and as they love out of Kobe, as somebody who he idolizes, I should say, when you see out of MJ and a lot of these other guys and LeBron's got this criticism too, is just being that killer, like from the get go, just going out there, getting yours. And I feel like that's the other aspect to like Tatum's game where that's not who he is, and that's not how he wants to approach the game, which is respectable. Like you should want to approach the game that you believe can help you and help your team, and he does that on a night to night basis. And so I think that's the last aspect of Tatum's game where he just gets criticisms from people around the league where it's like they're looking for that killer, and I think that's a reason why like some people even may gravitate towards more to Jaylen Brown because he'll start off the game like wanting to be the aggressor, wanting to punch you in the mouth and say, "Try to stop me right now. I'm going to go get mine."
I get it. I think a lot of it though is body language, and he's very reserved, whereas Jalen is gonna, dunk on your head and flex and stare at you. Tatum is one of the most clutch players in the league. I mean, you look at some of these performances from the 50-point game against Philadelphia in game six a couple of years ago to stay alive, the 46-point game in game six in Milwaukee to force game seven that the Celtics ultimately won on their way to the 22 finals, and obviously many other moments. Like, he's got that instinct when it comes down to winning and taking the big shots. But just with the way this team functions and him knowing that he is that engine, he doesn't have to be that. And I think it almost helps him in the team that he's not forced to have to be that. So obviously he idolized Kobe, looked up to him in a major way, learned from him. And I think there's a lot that he brings to the table that he learned from Kobe. But Kobe Bryant was not only had that killer mentality on the floor, he was also a tactician out there, and he knew when and where to turn it on. He knew when he needed to lean on his teammates when he had very good teams, and obviously winning the 2009 and 10 title. A big part of that was trusting his teammates. Um, Tatum's a great player, and anyone who's hating on him or anyone who finds him boring, you're looking at something else besides the basketball results. So that's my take on it.
Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Eric Newman. He is the host of B-Ball Radio. He's also the former executive producer of Showtime Basketball's Anything's Possible with Kevin Garnett. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And this is the part of the show that we gotta salute our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. Everybody, look, I love utilizing Underdog Fantasy while I'm watching a lot of sports, whether it be football, basketball. Look, we got Super Bowl Sunday coming up. If you don't think I'm going to be on Underdog Fantasy, you are surely mistaken. And the cool thing about Underdog Fantasy is that you got two options, okay? You can either do drafts or you can create a ticket. Now, the ticket is a lot of fun because you can either mix and match, keep it one sport, so you can mix NBA, NFL, whatever it may be. And all you got to do is just choose higher or lower on any stat. So, we got the Knicks playing the Celtics this weekend. So let's say Jalen Brunson has like 25 and a half points. Just choose higher or lower if you believe that Brunson can actually score higher than 25 and a half or lower than. And the cool thing is now Underdog actually gives you a slider so you can adjust that. The percentage, the win ratio may change for you, but you're capable of doing that now, and you can earn more money the more picks the more selections you make. So minimum two up to eight. So go crazy. The last thing, you got the fantasy draft. All right. Fantasy draft. CP, JD, and myself, we like to compete regularly, throw some lunch money in there, and just get bragging rights. And fantasy drafts is as it sounds, all right? It's daily. You get to choose 6 players, any sport. They'll do their fantasy basketball calculation and have a good time, man. It's a lot of fun. So make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. All right.
Yo, get me on that DFS thread, bro. Let's go. I want to take your money. Let's go. I
Here we
follow
go.
the
Here comes
league.
the
Let's
spicy
go.
talk. Oh,
Let's
CP.
go. Let's
Here we go,
go.
CP. We have a Celtics fan
Let's
wanting to
go.
come against the Knicks
Let's
fans. Oh,
go.
we got to do this. We got to get a four-person draft this weekend. Let's go.
Let's
Oh,
go.
man.
Let's go. This one looks good, doesn't it? You guys have one of these?
Ouch.
Sorry, my bad.
I'm sorry. If I was born in the 70s, maybe I would. Shout out to all the OG Knicks fans that have one. You know what I mean? Shout out to
There
all
you
those
go.
guys. All right.
Shout out to the 73 Knicks.
Shout out. Look, I got my Walt Clyde Frazier jersey in the back, autograph. So I was there in
Seriously though,
spirit.
shout out the 90s. Yeah, listen, Celtics fan my whole life, but the 90s Knicks, man. I mean, that was epic. And I was a media intern during
Mm.
the 99 and 2000 playoffs. So I was at a bunch of those games. And those teams were incredible. The Garden was incredible. We were all doing this all over the place because the LJ moment was
LJ, let's
just
go.
so fantastic. And you talk about a guy who is obviously he was never the same player he was in Charlotte after the injury. But he's one of the all-time great examples of a guy reinventing himself to fit in to help a team. And Larry Johnson, Spreewell, Camby, that whole crew. Obviously, Allen Houston was a heck of a time. I was there when they wrapped up the conference finals against the Pacers,
Oh my
and
God.
it was special stuff. Yeah, I was not there the LJ night, um, but that was a special time, and now that they're on the cusp of that again, and obviously, the Melo team in 13 was a lot of fun, but
Hmm.
this team is set up, as you guys have said before, and you said earlier, like this team is set up for a legitimate window of success, well past I think 3 or 4 years, just because of how good Cat and Brunson are, and obviously Josh Hart was made to be a Knick. They made the Bridges deal, wanting him to be a part of the future. So it's great to have that spirit back in the Garden, and the Knicks be on the right track towards contending for a title. It's a lot of fun.
For sure. When all the big market teams are rolling, it's good. When you get Boston, New York, LA, I mean, even Chicago, once they get rolling, it ain't now, but once they get involved, then that's when you know the league is really humming. So,
Yep.
look, as a Knicks fan, obviously I'm happy that the Knicks are doing well. And I only say 3 to 4 years just because that's the contract length right now. Got to see
Right.
what happens at the end of those 3 to 4 years. But I do agree that this should be a team together for quite some time. But let's get into this game now. All right, this is redemption time for the New York Knicks, and I like to look at some key stats when it comes to the matchups. And I'm looking at defense and offense right now. Celtics just demolished the Knicks when it came to shooting 3 pointers. I mean, 3 point defense, something that we still got to work on. Talked about it. Mitch should help that, especially give the Wings the capability of gambling a little bit more and being more aggressive once he returns. But I'm going to flip this on the other side because when I'm looking at, the starting rotation for the Celtics, they're not that great when it comes to guarding the three. Um, Knicks, on the other
Where
hand,
do they rank?
as of right now, for all threes, they're 11th when it comes to accuracy wise at guarding the three, according to Queen of the Glass.
Okay.
All right.
So that's almost in the top third of the league.
No, what is it? 11th is with no, it's because this is like it's
11th
blue, so it's
best.
it's revert. It's 11th worst.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
11th worst. That's how I don't know why they're Queen of Glass decided to switch it up. Knicks, on the other hand, with their starting rotation, sixth. They are one of the top teams uh when it comes to knocking down threes from all over the place. So I'm looking for the Knicks to take advantage of this 3 point defense or lack thereof against the Boston Celtics, which you guys did so miraculously against us in game one. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, opening night, ring night, everyone's hyped in Boston. I mean, the Knicks ran into a buzzsaw, man. I mean, I was in the building that night. Um, it was pretty unlike anything I'd ever experienced as far as the excitement around their rings, and KG, Paul, Ray, Bob Cousy comes out in a wheelchair. Like the Knicks didn't have a chance, man. And um, the Celtics work for the best shot possible on most possessions. And obviously, they shoot an incredibly high volume of threes. So, if the Knicks are going to make a concentrated effort in taking away the Celtic 3 point attack, then the Celtics need to be disciplined enough, especially since Mitchell Robinson isn't back yet. Attack that paint all night long. Like, get the Knicks in the bonus, get to the rim, and you can score twos all night long in this league and still win if you defend the three. So when it comes to defending the three, in terms of the Celtics, obviously Carl Anthony Towns gives you guys an entirely different wrinkle right now, similar to what Porzingis gives us is a five-man that could step out to 27, 28 feet and show the three-point shot. So the chess match there between Porzingis and Towns and how you're going to play those guys in terms of will you switch on pick and roll? Porzingis does a really good job of going right down to the post when he gets a smaller player. Or when it comes to the Celtics, obviously, when Tatum is the primary ball handler, you have to stop the basketball first. That usually happens with a double team. If you get a switch, Tatum isolates the switch and then goes to work. That's usually what opens up KP right away. So that's part of the chess match. And then, of course, you've got Holiday and you've got White who are going to take turns trying to slow down Brunson. Brunson's your motor to start. So can he get into the paint early? Can he make the Celtics collapse on him? Can that open up more room for Hart and for Bridges to get open threes? That's going to be a big part of it. Obviously, you guys aren't going to have OG back unless something drastically changes, so that limits you a little bit from the perimeter. But an interesting chess match is going to be part of an exciting Saturday night in the Garden. And as you set up so well, it starts with the three on both ends. How well you create shots and opportunities for it offensively, and how well you can contain it defensively, and that goes for both teams.
Absolutely. And just to clarify the statistics so that everyone's out there. So according to Clean Glass, and that was the lineup. So not the team as a whole, the lineup itself, the Celtics starting lineup is in the 11th percentile. That's why it's 11th. I was reading that wrong for a second. So it's in the 11th percentile, bottom part of the league when it comes to defending threes. The team as a whole is good at guarding threes, and that's just the entire team. Starters, bench, but that starting lineup is what I'm looking at because when you have Cat out there, you got Brunson, you got Bridges, and even Josh Hart this season. I'm looking for the Knicks to take advantage of that. Um,
I appreciate you correcting that because you know you Knicks fans are just as stubborn as us Celtics fans. So I
hey,
appreciate that.
hey, look,
Yeah.
when I go to
There's
these
no way
games,
Joe Mazzulla is allowing the Celtics to be in the bottom third of defending the three. That's just not going to happen.
that
Yeah.
starting
Well,
lineup,
the
though,
thing.
that starting lineup is
Well,
looking a
well,
little funky.
but the sample size of their minutes played, and CP and I were talking about this earlier, um, and I think we talked about it to start the show. Like they haven't been on the floor together
Mm-hmm.
nearly as much as last year, just because guys have been out. So um, I think they're still finding that rhythm, and over the course of the last week and a half, that rhythm looks like it's getting better on both ends of the floor. But listen, as explosive as the Celtics are as an offensive team, they know, and this is Coach Missoula over and over again, and the rest of the staff, if that team doesn't defend, that team can't be at its best no matter how well they're shooting the three. Because they go on those runs where they're getting stop after stop. They get out in transition. They either get the dunk on the break to get the crowd going at home, they get the threes going, and then, as you know, how valuable the three ball is on the road when
Mm-hmm.
it's a crowd silencer, especially for a Knicks Celtics game Saturday night at the Garden. That's going to be key as well. So you're getting me fired up, man. You're getting me fired up. Let's
Let's
go.
go. Well,
Let's go.
here's another little fun stat. So let's talk about points in the paint. Now the Knicks love to dominate this part of the court. Knicks right now are fifth when it comes to the league at scoring points in the paint. They are averaging about 54 points. Celtics are dead last in the league when it comes to averaging points in the paint. They're scoring about 42, but just because they have to live and die by the three. So not shocking there. Now, when it comes to guarding the paint, the Celtics are 11th in the league, allowing 47 points per game. And the Knicks, right now, they're 19th when it comes to 49. I don't really expect Boston to switch up their game and now start attacking the paint. Doesn't seem like that's just it doesn't seem like the team who they are. Joe Mazzulla really likes to make sure you put up a lot of threes on a night to night basis. But I am looking for the Knicks to just take advantage of scoring in the paint, which is what they did in game one. I'm looking for them to do that again in the second matchup against the Celtics.
Well, Alex, keep this in mind, right? It's not just the volume of threes for them, it's how they get the three. And when they're at their best, the ball is going into the paint first. The defense is collapsing, and then it's going out to open shooters. So the
Mm-hmm.
Celtics have done a pretty good job of getting out of the bad habit of 1-2 perimeter passes, jack up a three. Yes, Tatum will dance and get going if he has a mismatch on a switch or the shot clock is under 7 seconds, and he'll shoot those ISO threes. But the majority of their threes come from attacking, it comes from pick and roll, it comes from forcing the defense into rotation, which is getting the basketball into the paint, forcing help, and then kicking for three from there. So yes, they don't score a lot of points in the paint statistically, but part of the game plan for them, make no mistake about it, get the ball into the paint, make the defense collapse, and then kick and rotate the ball from there to get open threes. And this whole narrative that's been surrounding the league this season and the 3 point volume and people who call the Celtics boring, well, if driving the basketball, sharing the ball, moving your bodies to create wide open shots is boring, then I don't know what kind of basketball you want to watch. But when they're playing well, it is far from boring basketball. But I will say, if the Knicks are going to commit to taking away the 3-point shot, then the Celtics are going to have to go to the basket and get twos. And obviously, Tibbs is such a um, master of defensive strategy. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks choose to take away and what they choose to give up on Saturday night when they play.
Well, hopefully is the 3 point line because the Knicks will certainly allow a lot of teams. They'll gamble because Tibbs likes to run that drop coverage, protect the paint first, and then try to force the difficult pass to either corner on the 3 point line. But we'll see. I'd like the Knicks defense to just step up when it comes to guarding the three. We allow way too many people to get comfortable from behind the arc. Last thing before we move on to our key matchup for tonight, for that game is fast break points. I feel like who gets the easy points is going to definitely determine who wins this game. Knicks ninth right now in the league when it comes to scoring out in transition. Uh, let's see, and then the Celtics are 30th. So I'm looking for. Sorry, Knicks are 14th. Keeps switch it up on me. Knicks are 14th. Celtics are 30th. It's gonna be the battle who gets out in transition, and I don't always go by these numbers like it's like dicta, but it is
Yeah, it
it
helps
is what
inform
it
the
is.
opinion. It helps inform the
Yeah.
opinion, right? Like I don't live in the numbers. I live in the win loss column. The Celtics on the road, you got to get stops. If you get stops, you're going to get out in transition. If you don't get stops, you're never going to run. It is unusual, though, that they're ranked that low in transition and still have that good of a record. That speaks to just how good they are as a team offensively, creating easy stuff even when they're not out running. So again, the Garden's going to be rocking Saturday night. The game and the momentum is going to come in waves, and when you can create easy transition points on the road, that's huge. So the Celtics need to get what they can get in transition, but I'm not going to overvalue that statistic from either side come Saturday night.
Nor should we, because
Yeah,
things always change. One night they can
yeah,
be on a roll, one night they can't be. But
yeah.
look, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, because somebody wasn't available for game one, so we had to watch Al Horford start for you guys at the 5. KP is back for this one, and could be at Madison Square Garden. He's going to return. He's going to, he's now a champion. We got to deal with that whole spiel. Yeah, well, yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. Welcome back, KP. I hope you get the boost too. But Karl Anthony Towns and Kristaps Porzingis is my key matchup for this game.
Oh yeah.
Battle of the centers. This is the reason why the Knicks went out there, made the trade for Karl Anthony Towns. They saw what the Celtics did last year with a 5-out offense. They want to match that to be able to go toe to toe with this team. So I am fascinated by how we get to watch this thing match up. Now, Horford can do that too, but KP is on a different level, okay? So I'm looking forward to watching how Cat and KP will defend each other while playing while being on the offensive side of the ball. So this is my key matchup of the night. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, the fact that Porzingis has been able to return to the lineup and has found a groove and has been this consistently good now for weeks on end is so encouraging. It's crazy that they won the title last year and the guy barely played in the playoffs
Yeah.
with how well the team played, right? And to see him just continue to improve and be healthy out there on the floor and that extra dynamic he gives is a true luxury for the Celtics and for Cat to for the trade to happen, to be from the area, to now deliver in a big way before Mitch gets back. It can't be encouraging enough. And CP and I were talking about this on the NBA report. When Mitch gets back, the Knicks enter a very important group of teams that can both downsize and play small ball with a 5 that can shoot it, but can also now play two bigs on the floor at the same time. And when you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, you look at the Boston Celtics in the East, the Knicks have to be able to do that because any one of those teams will overpower them if they don't have that size back. And you look at the Western Conference, obviously Minnesota still does it with Randall, Gobert, Nas Reed being a very capable player. The Grizzlies are doing it now because Jaren Jackson has raised his game and Zach Edey has shown he's a capable NBA center. And obviously now the Dallas Mavericks are going to be able to do it with AD and Gafford and Derek Lively. And who am I missing? Houston has Şengün, and then Amon Thompson looks like he can play any position on the floor. So the ability to go double big, but also downsize to where your five can space the floor and shoot the three, that's a difference maker. Oh, and I'm forgetting Oklahoma City. When Chet is back with Hartenstein,
Mm-hmm.
they could do it well. So as much as I'm excited about this matchup, I want to see who Karl Anthony Towns is for the Knicks when Mitchell Robinson comes back. And what the Celtics have been doing lately is they've been playing some Horford Porzingis together. They're giving Porzingis a rest. Luke Cornett is
Another former
become
Nick. There you go.
yeah, you talk about a guy that's worked on his game, that's worked on his athleticism, that worked on his body. He's a very capable backup five in this league right now. And him as your screen roller and part of their team defense on the back line because Al can shoot the three. He's been very effective. So there's going to be an interesting chess match on Saturday because the Celtics have a clear front court advantage simply because the Knicks are so thin. You just sent out Jericho Sims. I like Precious Achua, but he's not a 7-footer. So the Cat Porzingis matchup is going to be great, but the chess matchup around it is also going to be really interesting as well.
You just made me aggravated. Not only did KP win
I
a
did that
ring with
on
the Celtics,
purpose.
now I got to think about Luke Cornett winning a ring out in Boston. Now I'm just aggravated. Now I'm just annoyed. Now I really hope
Well,
that we
you're
got
in
revenge.
Boston, so you know all about the Cornet contest. You know all about
If I don't need to hear about it enough out here, at work,
it.
everywhere I go, even when I go play pickup, I got to hear about Luke Cornett. It's never enough. All right, let's get to the X factors and wrap this thing up, Eric.
Yes, sir.
So, since you're the guest, who's your X factor for Saturday's matchup?
One each side or one in
No,
general?
for the Celtics. I want to know
Oh, for
because
the
I'll give.
Celtics?
Yeah,
When Derek White plays really well, they're a hard team to beat. And more often than not, Derek White's playing really well. So if Derek White can offset a big game that Brunson is down to have, regardless of how good White and Holiday are defensively. If Derek White has one of those games where the three is falling, the dribble drive is working, and he's the ultimate complement to Tatum and Brown, to me, that's going to be the X factor because he affects the games on both ends, and he's got to match up with your best player. As good as Cat is, Brunson is still your best player. So for me, it's Derek White.
Derek White. Okay, for me, I'm going Josh Hart. Now, it used to be Mikal Bridges because he was off to a rocky start to begin the season, but I'm going with Josh Hart because we don't have OG Ananobi, and I would say OG would get the Jalen Brown assignment. Now, from the times before Mikal was on this team, it used to be Josh getting the Tatum assignment. Once OG got here, you're able to switch those things up. I expect Josh Hart to get the Jalen Brown assignment while Bridges gets the Tatum assignment. So I'm going with Josh Hart because he's going to have a bigger responsibility in guarding Jalen Brown while also being that facilitator, while grabbing rebounds, while just doing everything else that he always does on the floor. He's such an ultimate glue guy. I know on this show, CP likes to call him the ultimate X Factor, and that the X Factor is X Factoring. I don't like to go with it because it's so consistent that it's like, is he even an X Factor if you're this consistent at doing your job to like where he could have been an all-star? I'm like, that's not an X Factor. That's just a really good player at that point, like a great player at his role. So I'm going with him as the X Factor just because the stakes of this game and the responsibilities that he's going to have. And I expect him to thrive in this matchup. I think all the Knicks, just as a whole, as a complete unit, are still upset. They're probably still seething at how opening night went, and they really want to show that this team is more than capable of hanging with the Celtics. And that's going to start off with Josh Hart because, as we discussed earlier in the show, as Tatum is like to play chess and ease his way in the game and make everyone else let everyone else get into a groove. The guy who's going to start off hot is going to be Jalen Brown, and who's going to have to guard Jalen Brown from the jump? It's going to be Josh Hart. So Josh Hart is my X factor for this game. And so it's gonna be a good one.
So,
Derek White and Josh Hart. Those are like two
yeah,
two excellent picks. I like it.
X factors for sure. So let me ask you something. If Bridges is guarding Tatum
Yep.
and Hart is guarding Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and Achua is starting, and Cat is guarding Porzingis, then you're putting Achua on Drew Holiday
Probably put him on.
or Derek White.
I probably put him on Derek White.
It's
I
gonna
like
be
I
a
know,
lo-
and I know,
it's
and
gonna
I know
it's gonna
Tatum's
it's
gonna.
gonna be it's gonna be a long night for you guys.
It's gonna be very interesting because I don't necessarily think I would want Precious on either Brown or Tatum. Like I know Tatum plays the four, but that's
No,
still even a bigger responsibility. So
it's a huge disadvantage for you guys in this matchup not to have OG out there, because when you have OG out there, even without Mitch back yet, it resets the matchups across the board, and there is no match issue. So you're going to have a match issue if you try to put Precious on Tatum. If you try to put Precious on a guard, knowing that you're going to trap the pick and roll with Tatum a certain way and people are going to rotate into matchups from there, that's only going to work for so long. They're going to find that weakness. So for you guys, I think on Saturday, someone off the bench on the perimeter is going to have to step up and
oh,
have a
it's Deuce
really good
McBride that you're
game.
talking about.
Yeah. Well, obviously Deuce offensively can do it. Defensively, yes, Deuce can compete and try to guard Derek White, who's a little bit bigger. Drew Holiday is like a very understated 6'4.5", 6'5", and he's he backs down 6'9" guys under the rim. So um, Drew Holiday, I think, is gonna have some moments Saturday night as well. But you guys are gonna need another perimeter guy, more so on the defensive end, to help compete, because I don't know how long you can play Towns and Precious out there against that starting five for the Celtics.
Yeah, and look, I would even be surprised if Tibbs switches it up. And this is kind of something I said is that the lineup should be dictated based on your matchup since we don't have OG. So maybe you start off with McBride because he is a good perimeter defender. I'm expecting Brunson to be on Drew. You put Deuce on Derek White, and then you gonna have Bridges and Josh Hart out there, and then you still have Cat. So maybe for this matchup you switch it up. I just don't, as you pointed, Precious in this one. It's just be a little. It's gonna be a little. It'll be a little funky. He is versatile, but maybe in this one start off with Deuce and see how that all ends up. But Eric, I appreciate your time and helping me preview this game. Please let the listeners know where they can find you if you got any work up and coming we should be on the lookout for.
Oh, for sure. So, Substack, everything basketball. You can check out my Luka Doncic generational monster trade write up on there right now. So, everything basketball on Substack. Of course, my podcast with the great Bobito Garcia at B-Ball Radio. And then I'm most active on Instagram, Eric W. Newman, EricWNEWMAN. As you guys have shouted me out, I'm a filmmaker, producer, content creator, and lover of hoops. So I love coming on with you guys and talking hoops, sharing my experiences and whatever knowledge is between these ears. And looking forward to a great one on Saturday night. There's nothing better than Knicks Celtics when both teams are good. So whoever's going to that game, um, have a great time. Be safe. Don't throw anything on the court, and we'll see who comes out on top. And hopefully, we've got Knicks Celtics come playoff time this year. I'm hoping for it.
Hopefully, and you dropped a lot of gems, Eric, a lot of knowledge that we appreciate on the show from you. So thank you once again for joining. And side note, you talk about don't throw anything on the court. I went to a Knicks Celtics game like a few years ago. Yeah, Celtics fans all the way up top, upper deck. They gave out the schedules, right? They're turning them into paper planes, throwing them down. I'm like, yo, this is your home team. Like, what are we doing over here? Just craziness, man. So yes, hopefully
That
no
sounds
one.
about right.
Sounds about right, but hopefully no craziness. I don't think people at MSG would be doing that. I haven't seen that. But shout out to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. And people, guess what? Eric said if you're going to the game, go have a great time. Well, we're hosting a watch party too. So make sure to come on through to Quinton Hall this Saturday. Come live it up with the rest of the Orange and Blue Nation. Watch the Knicks face off against the Celtics. So make sure to tap in. CB's going to be there. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on as always. I'm sure Eric L. Beats is going to be there, hosting, DJing, doing his thing. So make sure to tap in, get your tickets. Make sure to head over to Clinton Hall for Knicks versus Celtics. So that way you can be part of the watch party as well. And look, we also got a newsletter as well. So make sure to tap into that. And look, if you can't catch these shows live, You can either be part of the replay gang, watch it the next day, or go to any audio listening platform and make sure to download this show. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. So you're always able to be locked in. Once again, thank you to Eric Newman for coming through and previewing the Knicks Celtics game. We'll catch you on the other side. Of course, we're going to have play-by-play and KFTV post-game. All right, everyone, we out.
Peace. Have a green drink on me Saturday.
No, thank you.
This guy's shameless.